Hello and welcome to the Violet Hour podcast. I've got Mike here with me today again, and this is your story. It's your show today, buddy.
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
excited.
What are you
I'm
talking
excited.
about?
The Princes in the Tower.
What tower?
The Tower of London.
Awesome. Let's go.
All right, before we get into the spooky stuff, let's begin in England on April 9th, 1483. Well, duh, it's going to start in England. Anyway, King Edward IV has died, and historians can't agree on how he died. All right, but they've listed pneumonia, typhoid, and some sources recall high living. And he had a lot of mistresses. And another theory that leads into that, alongside high living, is that he died of syphilis. And apart from his quote-unquote physical habits,
So he died of syphilis.
we don't know for sure.
What was his name again? Edward?
Edward IV.
Oh, he was kind of skanky then.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
All right. And the news of his death has reached his brother Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, at Middleham Castle, and the new king, Edward V, who was never officially crowned king. He is only 12 years old, and his younger brother, Richard of Shrewsbury, the Duke of York, is 9 and the new heir presumptive to the English throne. But this would not last. No. Because they would be declared illegitimate, and Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, would become King Richard III, and that's a short and bittersweet version of events. What led to Richard III's rise to power was the testimony of a priest believed to have been the Bishop of Bath and Wells, Robert Stellington. Well, yeah, I spelled that right. All right, cool.
Okay.
So he claimed that Edward IV had entered into an agreement to marry Lady Eleanor Talbot back in 1461.
Okay.
All right. And for those of you, for just a quick, brief history lesson, Lady Talbot, she was a widow, and her original surname was Lady Eleanor Butler. Talbot was her maiden name, and her father was a prominent knight and commander in England. So once again, the Talbots were well respected within the elite.
Okay, and so she was going to secretly marry...
No, she was going to marry Edward IV.
Okay.
Because Edward was like, hey, honey, let's,
Skanky Edward.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Skanky Edward, I like that.
Okay. Okay, and so they got married secretly?
No. So,
Okay, got it.
so there's one woman who stands out among all of Skanky Edward's ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Elizabeth Woodville.
So I'm sorry, is this Edward related to Henry?
Very related.
So the skankiness runs in the family.
Dude, I think it does.
Gotcha.
Or it skips every few generations.
Okay.
Because Edward VII, he was a little skanky too.
Okay.
Same thing with William IV.
Okay. Cool.
He was so skanky,
No
he didn't
idea.
have any legitimate children.
No idea who these people are, but carry on, my love.
All right. Anyway, so, he's set to marry, and he did marry Elizabeth Woodville. And at the time, she was called the most beautiful woman in the island of Britain, with heavy-lidded eyes like those of a dragon, which makes no sense to me because when I think of the eyes of a dragon, I think of the eyes of a lizard. So I'm like, yo, she must have been busted up as hell.
No, maybe she had big eyes or prominent eyes or
Prominent eyeyes?
Like,
Like the eyes that you see in Guinness World Records that stick out?
Yeah, maybe. And so they were, or I don't know. Because when I picture hooded, like a pretty dragon with long eyelashes, like a fairy tale,
Oh my god, like the dragon from Trek.
Yeah, maybe, or Puff the Magic Dragon.
I have no idea who Puff the Magic Dragon is.
All right, well, carry on.
All right, and they married in secret.
Lady Eleanor,
No, Elizabeth Woodville and
Okay.
Edward. They married in
Dragon
secret.
Eyes and
Dragon
Skanky
Eyes.
Edward
Yeah.
married in secret.
So Skanky Edward and Dragon Eyes married in secret,
Okay, so did Lady...
and she would go on to become Queen of England.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she must have
She knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing. Yeah. So she went up in class, or he had something to gain from her family, like power, money, something.
Honestly, I think Edward, at first, he wanted to marry Lady Talbot.
Right.
Right? But
he's like,
Lady Talbot, she could have brought down the Tudors.
Okay.
Because she had, it's like, I think there was something in the bloodline that, would have had somebody in her family rise to the throne of England.
Okay, cool.
And that's why Edward's like, wait.
Pump the brakes.
All right, never mind. All right, see ya, honey. And then he married Elizabeth Woodville.
Okay, got it.
So
he's a promise breaker and a skank.
And he married
Dragon Eyes.
Another skank, probably.
No. Okay, we don't know that.
But she knew. I think she knew what she was doing.
I mean, she was good looking.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna work this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
All
they
right.
get married.
Then they get married, and believe it or not, Lady Eleanor was still alive when this whole thing transpired.
I would hope so. They're contemporaries of each other, right? Like he didn't go kill her or anything.
Well, no, but I say that because usually because back then when you say, "Hey, I'm going to marry you," you meant it, right? That was like a marriage.
Right,
was
but she'd already been married before, so it wasn't like her reputation was going to get ruined or anything.
Right, but this is the King of England compared to like a lord or something.
Right. He was already the King of England.
He was already the King of England.
Oh no, he had absolute power. He could have done whatever he wanted to do. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you can only imagine.
He probably paid Eleanor's dad or something some money because he gave him some title or made him a knight somewhere or like gave him some land to make up for it. That's what he probably did.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they used to do back then.
Then why marry in secret?
Probably because he didn't want to I don't know.
I don't think Eleanor had
he was
any
the king
idea.
Already. Like why?
Then why marry in secret? That's the thing.
Because he could have done whatever he wanted to do. He was probably if he's related to Henry VIII, he's probably very
yeah, good point.
Like he probably had like impulse control issues.
I've noticed a pattern with the English because with the 100 Years' War, and I believe the 100 Years' War is going on.
Stay focused.
Yeah, they overstepped their bounds trying to claim France, and the French would kick their asses.
Okay, get back to the story.
So yeah, anyway. So Lady Eleanor was still alive when Edward and Elizabeth married, and you can only imagine the drama and the gossip between the two families, right? Especially since Edward and Elizabeth had 10 children together, one of them being the wife of the future Henry VII, Elizabeth of York, who would go on to mother the infamous Henry VIII.
Okay, so I mean, it was a very
yeah. So when I said that,
not fortuitous. It was a very, what's the word I'm looking for? When you have, is that me or your sister?
I think that's
okay. So it was a very fertile marriage. They had a lot of kids. Okay, yeah. Awesome. That was great.
And now we can't forget Edward's several illegitimate children, who he acknowledged, by the way.
Okay.
I thought that was funny. So before his death, Edward IV, he designated Richard, the Duke of Gloucester still, to be the Lord Protector of England in response to the Woodvilles' attempts of tilting the scales of power to fit their needs. All right.
Who are the Woodvilles?
They are Elizabeth Woodville's family. And at the time, with Elizabeth marrying into the House of York, their prominence skyrocketed. So, it's like, why not take advantage of that and have Elizabeth's children instead of taking the name of York? They probably planned on an uprising to take the English throne from the Plantagenet dynasty.
Okay.
And instead of Tudor, it would have been Woodville, maybe.
Okay.
But, would have, could have, should have.
When does the spooky stuff start?
It starts very soon.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. Anyway, Richard becomes the Lord Protector, and he led the Regency Council, and the council arrived at a significant conclusion regarding Edward's children. All right, because Edward had promised Lady Eleanor his hand in marriage, and she was still alive, Edward's second marriage amounted to bigamy, thereby rendering it invalid and casting doubt on the legitimacy of all children born to Edward IV through this union. Under the influence of Richard, both Edward and his nephew, who was also named Richard, were subsequently declared illegitimate, resulting in the removal from the line of succession on June 25th, 1483. After this, Richard III, he became Richard III after this, he would place the two boys in the Tower of London for quote-unquote their own protection.
Of course. Why do I feel like this is not going to end well for them?
It doesn't.
Aww.
Well, we don't know if it ended well for them or not, because they disappeared and we don't.
Like they just vanished off
Yeah.
the face of this earth.
Yeah. And I have an excerpt from the Shakespeare play.
So their
Richard III.
uncle locked them in the tower to protect
Yeah.
them.
Or quote unquote protect them. Now, it could have been from the Tudors because Richard III was slain in battle by Henry VII's men, I believe. And Henry VII and Elizabeth of York, their marriage ended the Wars of the Roses.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Do you want to read Tyrell or Richard's part?
no, I want you to tell me the story.
All right. So Richard III.
I get.
You
I'm
see?
like, okay. I will read. Tyrell. You can be King Richard.
Perfect.
Okay.
Darest thou resolve to kill a friend of mine?
Aye, my lord. But I had rather kill two enemies.
Why? That thou hast it, two deep enemies, foes to my rest, and my sweet sleep's disturbers are they that I would have thee deal upon. Tyrell, I mean those bastards in the tower.
Okay.
By Jove, governor! Anyway,
Wow.
that was from Act 4, Scene 2 of Richard III by William Shakespeare, for you Shakespeare fans out there. God bless you. Anyway, Richard's reputation is not the best at all because of his supposed involvement in the disappearances of
his nephews.
Yeah. And they vanished in the summer of August 1483. And there were sightings of them in the Tower Gardens. So while they were in the tower, they were allowed to wander the tower grounds. Like they weren't kept in a cell 24/7. And like the Shakespearean play didn't help Richard's reputation at all. And Sir Thomas More, a Tudor loyalist, wrote that Sir James Tyrrell, the left-hand man of the king, murdered the princes under Richard's orders. So, once again, Richard...
He's not a nice dude.
I would have to argue he's a little worse than Henry.
Yeah.
Because Henry VIII, at least he's funny.
It's a big bully.
Literally a big bully.
Big bully. Okay. So what
Now,
what
here's the thing. There isn't any evidence that proves or shows us that the princes were murdered.
Of course there is.
And in fact, it started out as a rumor. And it just snowballed into people took it as historical facts until, later down the line, it's like, wait, this isn't real. It's like, we don't know if it's true or not. So on July 17th, in the year of 1674, 4 bodies would be uncovered in the Tower of London. 2 of the 4 bodies were found in a wooden box, excavated beneath a staircase leading into the White Tower, 10 feet below.
2 bodies.
Well, there were 4 bodies. They would be uncovered.
4 human bodies were uncovered in 1483. And when did they go into the
1674, Mom.
Oh, 16. Okay. And they went into the tower in 14.
Yes, but before these 2 bodies were found underneath the stairs, all right, before that, there were 2 other bodies that were found beforehand in an old chamber that was walled up in the Tower of London.
Oh my God. They were walled into oh gosh, that's how they died.
Probably.
They were just put into
So,
a wall.
and they probably starved. Or they died from...
Unless they just died and then that's how they hid their bodies.
Yeah.
They never left the tower.
They never left. And we don't know that for sure. They disappeared.
Right, because they disappeared into a wall.
Oh my God. Platform 9 3/4 much, right?
Oh
Underneath the stairs and all that.
Fucking Brits. Okay.
So anyway.
Love you. Okay.
Oh man.
So
so the other two bodies that were found
they,
after the fact.
They sure know how to keep history interesting.
Yeah. So after the fact, it was underneath the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And, they were, and all four of the skeletal remains were the remains of children. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, they were believed to have been the prince's remains. And Charles II, the ruling king, 4 years later at the time, he ordered the bones to be buried in Westminster Abbey, where they remain to this day.
Because they were little princesses.
At the time, they thought that it was for certain, but we don't know for sure now. All right, because fast forward to 1933, and the bones would be analyzed by Lawrence Tanner, a leading anatomist at the time, and George Northcroft, the president of the Dental Association. And they found that the bones did in fact belong to two children who were the same age as the princes when they disappeared.
Okay.
So we have some hope here.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here. So the bones. Here's where things get weird. The bones that they were presented with, they found that they had been mixed up with the bones of chickens and other animals and 3 rusty nails. One skeleton was larger than the other. So once again,
makes sense because
right. Well, because
one was older.
Because
than
Edward
the
was
other.
12 and Richard was 9.
Yeah. Okay.
What else? Oh yeah. So and on both of the skeletal remains,
I feel like I read this. This is like a Philippa Gregory. This is like a Philippa Gregory novel. She's like so she's written I'm sorry. Yeah, carry on. These are.
But no, it's but I mean, listen, the Princess in the Tower, they continue to fascinate historians and authors alike.
Yeah, she writes historical romance. Well, yeah. Carry on.
All right. Anyway, so the remains were mixed up with the bones of chickens and other animals and 3 rusty nails. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And one skeleton was larger than the other, like I said. However, many bones were missing on both remains. For example, all of the teeth of the larger one, all of his or her teeth was missing.
Yeah, because I mean it's been how many years at this point? 200.
Right, but with bones that are.
I know, but then scavengers and animals and
Right. But then again, they were encased in a literal sarcophagi, and they're oh my gosh, you have to look at the gravesite in Westminster to see how secure this grave for the princes are, or believed to be the princes.
Right, but when they initially found them, they might not have realized, they might not have collected all the bones initially from that first time.
Here's the thing. The smaller one's jawbone was missing, and the original workman in 1674 who was sent to retrieve the bones, they broke a lot of the bones.
Yeah.
And no attempt was made to determine the gender of the remains at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was, number one, how that makes that fits that time period and
yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the spooky stuff.
Please, I'm waiting.
Oh my gosh, you're so impatient. But then again, I am impatient too. All right, guards who have patrolled the Tower of London have reported hearing the sound of 2 children giggling, alongside what has been described as a bouncing noise outside of the tower. There have also been sightings of their apparitions, with the 2 boys wearing white nightgowns and holding hands as they wander aimlessly throughout the bloody tower, as if they were lost.
Aww.
Yeah, and that made me pretty sad, because it's
yeah, it's
yeah, they're just...
Somebody went and got all medieval on their asses, and then like,
Oh, forgive us.
poor babies. Okay.
Now, they've never made a sound or a recorded sound when you see them, right? Unlike other ghosts. Yeah. Look,
Probably because maybe they were told, "Oh, you have to hide. You have to hide," and like then they were just locked into this wall, and they starved to death or some god awful thing.
Yeah. Now, if
Who
you catch a glimpse of the princes, it will only be for a moment until like that they fade into the stonework.
They fade into the stonework.
They literally fade into the stonework.
They fade into a wall.
Yeah.
That was them in that wall.
Carry
on.
Oh my God.
Poor
I
baby.
just noticed.
Poor.
I never made that correlation during the research.
Poor babies.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, that's not all though.
Okay.
So in 2015, a hairdresser and a mother of two named Mary Ryan would visit the Tower of London with her family, her 2 daughters, and her partner Andrew. So while she was in the Bloody Tower, she took a picture of her daughter Kaylee, who was 16 at the time, she was standing behind a glass cabinet in a tight hallway, and to just give you a perspective on how tight this hallway is, it's about 2 centimeters.
2 centimeters?
Like 2 meters.
Okay, because centimeters
wide.
is like...
Centimeters is small, but meters is larger.
Okay.
So 2 meters wide. You could fit another person, but you can only fit 2 people.
Okay.
Right? And she took this picture of her daughter, didn't think anything of it, and they moved on with their lives until 2017. When she was going through her memories, she landed on the photo she took of her daughter.
Did she take it with like a cell phone or like, are we talking film?
Well,
Like
with a cell phone.
She's going through her... okay, got it. Like Facebook memories or...
Yeah, or you know how Apple has the memories on photos?
Yeah, that's relatively new.
Oh, is it? I thought it was later down the line. Not even in 2017?
I don't remember. It was too far along. Okay, so but like 2 meters is about 6 feet. So, I mean, it's not that small. The size of a person.
Yeah, like 2 people.
Okay. All right. I guess, yeah, but it's still a narrow.
Yeah, it's narrow.
Narrow-ish corridor.
Yeah.
And a big old cabinet is in this spot too, you said? Okay. So, yeah, not a lot of
room.
room.
So she saw the hand of her partner, Andrew, in the background, right? And she also, obviously, she saw her daughter, Kaylee. But she also saw the face of a little boy. And I have a photo right now.
Okay, let me see.
All right, here you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's like... Are you sure it's not like a...
No, that's a face. Look at the face.
Yeah.
And then look at the collar.
It kind of looks like this painting. When I pulled up the 2 princes, like I Googled them while you were talking, and it kind of looks like I wonder if this picture is not faked. If you
it doesn't look faked at all.
No, like Photoshop.
Because it's like,
I don't know. I'm a skeptic when it comes to stuff like this.
It's like I am too.
I mean, it's so spooky to look like it's eerie how.
Yeah, and like if you look at
like especially this little one, like so on our Instagram, I'll post pictures of like this painting, The Princess in the Tower. It's a painting by I don't know who. Let me see if I can find out.
Sir John Everett Millay.
Yes, but and then Mike, we'll add this picture too.
Yeah, and so.
And probably break all kinds of copyright. But yeah, this is interesting, Michael. It's like really spooky because, I mean...
It looks like a boy.
Like he's just floating in the cabinet glass.
Yeah, and here's the thing. That's like, it looks like she's not wearing a hat at all.
Right. So
right, and there's her partner's hand.
Creepy.
So it's like, and then you see this boy, like that really... And I'm not one that really believes in ghosts, evident in the last episode. But this made me think, hey, maybe this stuff is real.
Yeah.
So...
And she doesn't have like a little brother or anything?
No.
That would have been in the
No, not at all.
No.
So
okay.
What's crazy is that according to Mary, there were no young boys in her group at all.
Wow.
Like the only other guy was her
boyfriend.
partner, Andrew.
And he's a dude.
He's a man. He was in his 40s at the time, or his late 30s.
so creepy. That is so creepy. Okay,
yeah.
so they're these little babies that were locked in a wall or something.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to them.
Yeah,
They were
and
murdered for sure.
they had to have
What
been.
a bunch of jerks. Just little boys.
So her partner at first he didn't believe in the supernatural at all, and he's tried to make sense of the image. He really has, but he can't.
He can't.
He cannot explain
I
it.
feel like if it's not
It's like,
faked,
and
you can't, like, just going on the supposition that this is actually true, like giving
like,
them
dude,
the benefit of the doubt.
it's freaked the family out.
It is really freaky.
Like, listen, because here's the thing, like, because Mary, she's a firm believer in the paranormal, but she
and
said
they're not, like, are they British?
they're English, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if they're not trying to get attention or like popularity or
because
whatever.
this looks like a regular photo.
I mean, it's a bad picture too. It's like all blurry and like grainy.
It's like,
and
but then again, you know,
for 2015, yeah.
But but at the time, like the majority of people in 2015, you didn't really upgrade unless you wanted to.
It was a little different. Okay, but it doesn't matter. This is
Yeah.
really creepy. Thanks, Mike. Any more spooky tales about the tower?
Well, I mean, I'm still going about this image. No?
I don't know.
All right, but
what else do you want
well, they believe that it's Edward V.
Edward V.
Yeah, in the background.
So is he the older or the younger brother?
He's the older brother.
See, I'm looking at it and I thought he would have been the little guy, but I can see it.
But no, but also Edward, he would have been a knight of the Garter.
Right, because he would have been next in line to the throne, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard, I believe he would have become a knight of the Garter as well because he was the new heir presumptive to the English throne.
Right, because until his brother had a son.
Right. And
poor babies.
yeah,
may they rest in peace wherever they went, whatever happened to them.
Yeah, and to this day, the family can't explain the image at all. It's freaked them out.
Yeah, it is freaky. It's you guys go check it out. You can check it out on Instagram,
and
on the Violet Hour podcast, and on Facebook. We'll post them all over our socials.
Yeah, and the disappearance of Edward V and his brother, it remains unsolved.
Yeah, it's like this history's enigma almost, like whatever.
One of the many enigmas of history, yeah.
Because like they just evil men did evil things.
And when you think about it, it's fairly recent too.
Fairly recent, as in the 1400s?
Well, it's only 100 years away. It's not like 1,000 years away.
Michael, 1400. We're in 2023. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, but when I think about it, if you look at how fast human progress is going.
Yeah, I mean, we're like a blink.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is a great story, Mike. Thanks for sharing.
Totally.
I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys too. Anyways, thanks so much, you guys. I don't know. Stay weird and stay eerie. Ciao.
Until we meet again.